Hello, I mean, it's yours truly, Maxwell Okure. I discuss live issues here. So I actually want to talk about critics. I bumped into one today, and one thing I could just pick up from this guy was that the guy was doing nothing. He was just there, just talking, 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 talking. And he had this log of successes that he could actually just speak at will. I mean, without just like reflex action. We're just picking on them and just discussing, bringing out the the lopsidedness, as in the weakness. I mean, he had them just at a call, at beck and call over his mental connect, as the case might be. And I felt so irritated at the sight of this. And it now beats my imagination how people spend so much time, exert so much energy to discussing people's weaknesses and follies. I mean, it's kind of repelling, sincerely. And I took a deep thought into it and thinking, and I noticed that critics, those people that criticize us, you can just take a little measure on this and do your research yourself. Critics don't do anything. From January to December, you can't really see one major project. I mean, massive achievement they've gotten. All they do is just criticize, criticize, criticize. And those that have actually done something and they feel they've gotten to the summit, to where they have to be, and end up into the realm of criticism, you either see them lose everything they worked for or they're stagnant. Let me share a particular practical story here. There is this Nigerian pastor who is based in the Ukraine. His name is Sunday. I can't remember the surname now, but Sunday. I remember Sunday because it bears the same name as my father did, Sunday. The stock in trade of this pastor is that for every video he shoots or probably uploads, he criticizes one Nigerian pastor or the other. Is either he's criticizing Adeboye today, Komuyi tomorrow, or Oyedepo the day after. So he's not really passing any message. His job is just to criticize, criticize, and criticize. As I speak to you today, this is not in a state of being like I'm looking down on him or mocking this scenario, but I'm just trying to draw life lessons out of this, like we do on this platform. During the Ukraine war, when Russia invaded Ukraine about 3 years ago, I guess, his church was part of the city where Russian forces bombed. And the so-called largest church in Ukraine by a Nigerian pastor, as I speak to you, is not standing anymore. Members scattered, pastor ran away, so doesn't even have time to upload videos on YouTube anymore. The criticism level now dropped to ground zero. The people you are criticizing or you have been criticizing are still up there doing one thing or the other. In fact, as I speak to you, Oyedepo is thinking of how to meet up the inauguration date of the construction of the ark. Tell me, how does he have time to respond to criticism? He doesn't have, he's busy. Adeboye is thinking of expanding Redemption City and he's looking at billions of naira. He doesn't have time to respond to criticism because he's busy. Busy people do not take any measure on criticism. Because if you're busy, you won't have time to even listen to the criticism in the first place. So, what am I drawing out of this? It's not just pastors, it's not just professionals, even individuals. Where you live, you sit every day and criticize people. And people you're criticizing wake up every morning and leave the house looking for something to do to better the lot of their lives. But you're sitting down there and criticizing. In the long run, these people are progressing, but you're still stagnant. So it beats my imagination how people get so comfortable criticizing and criticizing and criticizing, and yet they have not achieved 1% of what they are criticizing. They've not achieved it. And those that should understand better are even the one in the forefront of it, in the front burner. of the whole thing. So listen carefully. If you are about or you intend to criticize somebody, make sure that that person you are criticizing, you'll be able to achieve at least 50% of what he has achieved. If you have not been able to achieve 50% of what that person has achieved, shut your mouth and concentrate on work. Let me share a very practical story so that you guys can learn from. Then I was still working with MOD in the Sulere branch, Adiron Ogunsanya, for those that are very familiar with Lagos. So I had this colleague, Tola by name, that wanted to wed. He's a member of Oyedepo's Church Winners. And as a measure of courtesy, we all had to support her. So we had to travel to Ogun State, or Yanota to be precise, so we can support her in the wedding. Now, before then, I'd been one of those that I'd been like criticizing most of the projects that Oyedepo must have carried out that members were not actually enjoying, because I had series of interviews of members that believed they should have enjoyed what he did, but the fee were just too much for them, so they left the church in anger. I'm speaking of people I know. It's not like so. I guess based on that connect, I also was doing a bit of criticism as a case mother. Not until I went for this wedding, so I got into the environment where they call Canaanland for the first time. This was around 2019. Is it 19 or 20? I can't really remember. Within 2019 and 20. So we drove in and I started scanning through the environment. And I saw the transmogrification that has happened in that environment, the gentrified status. And I asked myself, Maxwell, what are you criticizing really? If one man can turn a forest into this, do not ever criticize him again, not until you have done 50% of what he has done here. Since then, if the criticism comes, I will just shut it. That's the honest truth. With what I saw, I stopped criticizing. Because critics are always very, 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 very out of business. They are not doing anything. Check. Go and do your due diligence. They are not doing anything. Busy people don't have time to criticize. That's the honest truth. Because they're always on the go, on the road. They're looking for what to achieve, what aim to accomplish. So I want to encourage us. If you are in a circle of critics, ask yourself, for the past 6 months you've been criticizing, what have you achieved? Nothing. Run away from that circle. You're in a committee of critics. Ask yourself, in the last 6 months, what have you accomplished? Nothing. Disappear. Am I speaking English? Because in the next 6 months from this time today, you will still not achieve anything. So my big question is, what are you criticizing? Do have a lovely day. See you next time, guys.